Hi everybody. So just realizing that it's been a bit since I've done a video for you, so I figured today what I'll do is a quick mini haul of what I picked up at Lee's Art Shop. So a little bit of history on Lee's Art Shop. Lee's Art Shop is a bit of a New York institution on 57th Street, as you can see on the bag. And it was founded in 1951 by a husband and wife team, and their store continues to be run by the same family, now by their children. A bit of a not your standard art shop that you would expect, like say maybe if you went to like Dick Blick or Utrecht. The store is a bit unusual, even though it is an actual art store. It caters a lot to tourists, and sometimes the prices can reflect that, but I do like their selection, and sometimes I can find things at Lee's that I can't necessarily find at more traditional art stores, which is actually why I went to Lee's specifically for the items that I purchased today. So the first thing that I had to pick up was a couple more pencils and leads that I needed for my purse drawing kit and for my convention drawing kit. And if you remember my previous video, my supplies overview, you remember me showing the GraphGear 500.5 pencil, mechanical pencil from Pentel. I apologize if my camera refuses to focus on this. But okay, so that's what it is, the GraphGear 500. Now I remember in the last video saying that that pencils really didn't matter, which in the greater scheme of things, they don't. Like I said, I've used pencils that I've just bought from Staples, and you know, in the end, a pencil's a pencil. But also in the end, I have to admit that some pencils are better than others. That some pencils I do end up with a preference for. And in the end, these pencils, the GraphGear by Pentel, I really like the way these feel when I use them. They feel really solid. Sometimes the cheap pencils that you can buy at Staples, sometimes they feel flimsy. They don't erase very well. So in the end, I decided that if I was going to do my convention and purse kit, I'm going to buy again the pencils that I like the best. And to go along with the pencils, I bought two sets of leads of 2B leads, the 0.5 millimeter size. Usually I use an HB weight lead, but this time I decided to try a bit with the 2B, see how that works out. I think the HBs, sometimes it can be a little light depending on the paper that I'm using. So I figured 2B might be a good medium ground lead that I can use no matter the paper type that I'm using. The next thing that I ended up picking up, which was actually the reason why I went to Lee's to begin with, are Copic black multiliners. Like I said, the good thing about Lee's is that they have a really good selection, and they're really known for their individual pens that they sell. If I could have bought the multiliners on Amazon, but the thing is that they come in a set of 8 pens, and usually I only use 3 particular sizes, so I didn't think it was necessary for me to buy another whole set if all I really needed was 3 pens. So I really like Copic multiliners out of a lot of multiliners that I've used, because Copic is the only one that feels like it's an actual pigment that's going onto the paper. The pigment goes down really, really dark, really black. Gives me really good solid coverage. I like the lines that comes from it. With a lot of other pens, they tend to act more like felt tips than an actual liner, and the line quality reflects that. So I usually have to go over the lines in order to darken them to a consistency that I like. But what I noticed is that with Copic, I didn't have to do that. The only downside to the Copic multiliners is that you actually have to wait for them to dry. Yeah, you don't want to erase immediately after you use them, or else you're going to smear all over the place. And for those of you asking why I'm using Copics instead of my Rapidographs. Well, Rapidographs I like using when I'm home. Rapidographs, as you've seen in my last video, they're messy, they're high maintenance, and they're not really good for travel, and I'd rather not travel with them, because the last thing I want to be doing is worrying about cleaning my pens in the middle of the chaos of a convention. So Copic gives me a good alternative to that. So I get the line quality that I want without the mess, as long as I wait for the ink to dry after I use them. So the pen sizes that I got is a 0.03, a 0.1, and a 0.5. Two things here. Actually, the 0.03 ended up to be a mistake. I really meant to get a 0.3, but picked up a 0.03 anyway. But they didn't have a 0.8, which is what I usually use for the thickest lines. They only went to 0.5. So in the end, my mistake ended up working out. And let's try to see the line width here. So this is the 0.03. Which is really thin. I have to be careful when I ink with this to make sure that I don't press down. The nib is really, really tiny, so I don't want to destroy this nib inadvertently. Okay, so this is the 0.1. And this is the 0.5. As you can see, it's the line weights that I usually use, although just a step down. Like I said, I would have much preferred to have had a 0.3, a 0.5, and a 0.8, but they didn't have the 0.8. So I'm gonna try this out. I'm sure it'll work fine, and I'm sure you guys will be seeing artwork done with these Copics in the future, so we can review then. So the last thing I bought at Lee's Art Shop was Copic multiliners, but in sepia color. I saw sets on Amazon that I could have just easily have picked up, but again, it had point sizes, it had nib sizes in there that I wouldn't normally use, so I would just be spending money for extra pens I wouldn't be using. So again, went to Lee's Art Shop knowing that they had individual pens, and decided to pick up some sepia liners just to finally try that out. I've seen people use sepia liners and with really interesting results, so I figured it was a good, it's a good experiment to try. So, 3 pens, no big deal. So again, this time a 0.1, 0.3, and 0.5 nib size. Again, I would have preferred to have had 3, 5, and 0.8, but they were out of 0.8s, so I chose the closest combination that would give me the results that I want on my artwork. So let's try out. This is the 0.1. Again, have to be careful with the nib so that I don't press down and ruin it. This is the 0.3. And this is the 0.5. Not as much variation between the 0.1 and the 0.3 I would have liked, but I'm sure it'll be fine when I start using them. So that's my quick mini haul from Lee's Art Shop. As you can see on the bag, Lee's Art Shop is on 220 West 57th Street. It's not my first choice for art supplies, especially if you're going to seriously stock up. I think it's a good place to pick up all the little extras that maybe you can't find at either Dick Blick's or Utrecht or even on Amazon.com. You know, Lee's Art Shop is good. And not only that, not only do they sell art supplies, they have frames, they have papers, they have really cool tchotchkes. Like I said, it's a very touristy centric store. So even if you just go there to not buy anything, it's actually a cool store to go look around and see all the fun stuff that they have there, especially all their Christmas decorations and figurines, and for those who are into it, they have a really big Vera Bradley bag section if you like that sort of thing. But pretty much that's it. So I hope you found this informative, and I'll see you on the next video.